Welcome back to Houzz TV Live. I'm Rick Spence, and with me today is Stephanie Stroud of Stephanie Stroud Interiors out of beautiful Kansas City, Kansas. And we got a special treat for you today, a really beautiful home, pretty dramatic before and after. So welcome to the show,
Yes.
Stephanie. It's great to have you.
Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
So tell me about these homeowners in this home. Give me a feel for the style they were going for and what you were trying to achieve with the spaces.
So the homeowners, she kind of has some eclectic taste, which is really great. And the most important thing is she really trusted us. She liked color, beautiful materials like marbles and woods, and was willing to kind of blend a lot of those together and do things really uniquely. But she has a sense of humor. So there's a couple areas where we got to really play with her sense of humor and have a good time doing it.
So let's hop into the kitchen. This is such a beautiful upgrade that you did here. What are some of the key components that make this work?
So we basically took everything down to the studs and we reimagined the space, even moving certain walls back about 6 inches just to get a teeny bit more so we could make it this like gourmet kitchen that the homeowner wanted. Just make it really functional and feel, current.
So let's go into the stone choices.
We knew we wanted marble. We knew we wanted drama. We knew we wanted some browns and blacks and creamy tones in it. So we kind of had this vision in our mind for what was out there. And we searched and searched and found the most perfect slab. And I think that once we saw it, and I mean, it was literally like oh my gosh, like that's it. And then once we had that, it was really easy to find the elements and for our whole vision to come into place. We use soapstone, which is really natural material that has more personality than a honed black granite. It has some white veining in it. You have to take care of it a little bit more than you would a granite, but it wears beautifully, ages beautifully, and has a softer kind of patina feel to it. Once we showed her those two together, she was sold.
Well, it definitely feels current now, and it's just beautiful. Tell me about the glass with the metal and that really warm wood, and then there's some adult beverages in there, and that whole vignette is just so cool.
Right. So because they entertain a lot, everyone gathers in the kitchen, right? So you need some sort of area in the kitchen when you have a party to kind of put out some things. So we wanted to make that area stand out and have a little bit of a twist, a little more modern feel. And so we had the black cabinets made, and then we lit them, which at night it glows and it's just so beautiful. That warm walnut wood, I just think it really elevates the kitchen. And I just like how it pops against the creamy white and brings in the black, the surround and the soapstone. I just think it's the prettiest wood.
It's beautiful. There's so much to love in this kitchen. The materials too, in terms of the metals, you're mixing the metals. I see the copper oven in there, which is beautiful.
Right.
I love the chunkiness of the faucet.
Yes.
And just all those materials there. Tell me about those choices and why it's so important.
So when you go into, let's say, a model home or something that's kind of not been built for someone specifically, a lot of times all the metals are the same. Or people think, all my metals have to match because if they don't, things aren't going to look right. But in actuality, when you mix your metals, it looks a lot more custom and it just feels like it was put together, I don't know, with a little bit more thought. So we always do that. She loved unlacquered brass and loved how it patinaed. So that is what's all on the handles and that sort of thing. Also kind of that goes really well with the marble. But we didn't want it to feel matchy-matchy. And that faucet is, oh my gosh, it's just gorgeous and a dream. And it's in polished nickel. So it just blends beautifully. And then as you pointed out, the oven is actually the one thing in the kitchen that we kept from the original kitchen. And we loved the copper. And so like the beverage fridge has a little copper cuff on it as well. It's the same brand. And then she has a couple little copper pots. So we brought the copper kind of through in a couple different ways. But yeah, the faucet is showstopper for sure.
Yeah, really beautiful. How about lighting? A lot of natural light in this space.
Right. So we had French doors, skylights, regular windows, and then by adding the light in those bar cabinets, and then also underneath that, it just glows. And then the task lighting in the kitchen with those gorgeous pendants, some can lights, and they're smaller in scale. So we have lots of different layers, which, as you know, is really important in design.
So the island, is that always a great opportunity to take advantage of storage?
Yes, because we didn't have upper cabinets, we were taking away some of her storage. So that's just a bank of doors underneath, pretty easy access, just slide out the bar stool. She was very, very grateful to have that extra space.
You got rid of all the upper cabinets, but now she has this beautiful pantry. When you're designing a pantry and you're thinking
Mhm.
about the depth of the shelves, how tall the shelves are, what kind of
Right,
storage is going to go in those shelves, I'm sure there
right.
was a lot of consideration there. So
There
tell
was
me
a lot.
how that happened.
So we knew how she was going to use it. We look at things like the height of her KitchenAid mixer, mixing bowls. She makes a lot of bread. So we had the bread bowls. And then she needed a sink. She needed a microwave so she could have the kids can go in there and they use the microwave. So we just really thought through how she was going to use it. And you don't, if you're baking and you have all that, all those things spread out, you don't want a shelf that's, right by your eye level. So we put the shelves a little higher and made them not quite as deep, but deep enough for her canisters. So there was a lot of measuring and a lot of thinking to design such an important spot in her house.
I really love that. Let's talk about the music room. It's a living room, it's a hangout, it's a
Right.
whole experience. It could be a lobby of a boutique hotel. I mean,
Oh,
so
that's a very nice compliment.
tell me about it.
That was another thing that the homeowner asked for. So they are a musical family, and she asked for a place where they could keep their instruments and the kids could practice and the adults could hang out and they spend most of their time in there. And I can see why, because when I go to her house, that's where I want to be too. But it's interesting. There's some pillows on the sofa that are floral. It's like a little velvet floral. And Carol, who is the other designer on this project, that is the very first fabric that she selected for the room. Everything comes off of that. The greens and the pale pinks and the little bit of the mustardy gold. It just really was like, how there's always a starting point, right? That was the starting point for that whole space.
Tell me about how you tackle scale in this kind of space.
Right. So we played with a lot of different things. And that was one of the reasons why we added all of that applied molding, is because we needed to kind of bring the ceiling down a little bit and make it feel cozier. And by doing that with the walls, it really helped dramatically. And adding the curve actually brings down those built-in bookcase areas a little bit more. And then raising, the doorway out into the living room made it feel in scale with the rest of the room, because it felt almost like a little small teeny door in this really expansive space. And we really floated the furniture in the middle of the room. It's not like there's a lot pressed up against the wall, so to speak. I mean, those kind of pink chairs are kind of floating. So it really brings you to kind of more of a center point, I feel like. And that also makes it feel a little bit more cozy.
In some spaces, people will anchor the entire space based off the artwork. Right.
Right.
We have some artwork we want to put in the space, build it around that. In this case, it
Right.
was the pillow, and
It
then
was the pillow.
but the artwork is a very, substantial piece of that. Is it all right, here's the space, do your thing?
We gave her some direction just because we knew her work so well, and the homeowner loved her work. So, she is pretty specific in what she does, but she has kind of some variety. And so we said we like these pieces more than these pieces. We told her we wanted a lot of negative space because of the depth and the richness of the room. We needed to kind of balance that out with negative space. So we did tell her that. And then again, we told her the size of the canvas because we wanted it to kind of be right there.
When you go in to the music room, you kind of go through those doors, the piano's off in the distance, and you got this beautiful light above. It's almost like a sunburst. Tell me about that light fixture.
So that we selected pretty early on as well. So we wanted a little bit of whimsy. So it's a really sophisticated room, but it's not a room where you want to take yourself, too seriously. And so that added, when you really look at it, you're like, oh my gosh, look at the beautiful butterflies. So it's a fun and whimsical little pop in there in an otherwise very sophisticated room. So it just kind of takes it down just a little bit. It just adds, I think it's like the finishing touch in that space.
Just beautiful. So tell me about Houzz and how it's impacted your business and how you use
Right.
it.
Some of my best clients have come through Houzz. I love that it's a place to go for them kind of as something that they can use to look at what's out there. And Houzz Pro has been essential in growing our business. It lets me really focus on all the details of the project. And so that makes our life easier. We used Houzz Pro really every step of the way, mood boards and doing the spatial planning, all the way through to the invoicing. And so we're all on the same system. And, I may be making an invoice and then my assistant is, using the same program, that all the same tools of Houzz to track all my clients' orders. So the invoice looks like the tracking looks like it just is very cohesive, and it's good for our team and it's really good for the client because all the communication they're getting is the same.
Love it. Okay, so we got time for one more space.
Okay.
Let's go into this really cool powder room. Tell me about the motivation for this. And it's a fairly small space, really bold choices in here.
Right. Because of the homeowner and her personality and that sort of thing, we knew we could do something exciting and whimsical and different. And so there was the hunt for like the perfect wallpaper. And those are all like different bugs and animals. And it's really interesting, but the colors were amazing. And we like to really have flow, right? So our houses flow a lot. So those are the same colors that are really in the music room. Like you can see those same colors in the music room and in the office and in different places. And we knew we didn't have a lot of space, right? So that's always a time to just pop as much as you can. So the ceiling is like this aubergine ceiling. The sink it's really glossy kind of piece of stone. And the way it was built, it's floating, so to speak. And instead of using just a traditional mirror, we lined that whole back wall with mirror to make the space feel a little bit bigger. And then we put our light fixture, which is like a piece of jewelry. It's one of my favorite sconces, right on the mirror. And it gives you kind of like this, not fun house kind of a feel, but you know what I mean? Like there's light reflecting and there's fun wallpaper. It just makes people smile.
There's a little like plaque. Is that like a little butterfly plaque on the wall? Like
Yeah,
what's
so
the...
there is a place in Kansas City that sells, like I would say, taxidermy. So these are actual bugs that are found by farmers out in the
Oh,
fields, and they bring
cool.
them to this place, and then they mount them in these beautiful ways. They're very artistic. And so it kind of went with our theme. And one of our designers, Carol, she went with the homeowner to this place and they selected them based on what the homeowner really was drawn to. And it's such a beautiful, like natural piece of art in there, right? But it really fits the space. They're so pretty.
That is super fun.
I know.
I want one of those bugs. The whole house is just so beautiful. Thank you so much for walking us through it and giving us some insights into your design.
Well, it was our pleasure. Thank you for having us.
We'll do it again.
Okay, sounds good.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.